Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. And let me know right off the bat if you can hear and see us clearly. And I'm going to let our co host, Pastor Norman, in. Hey, Pastor Norman.
Good evening to all of you.
Yeah, man. You doing okay?
I'm doing better now. I've been fighting my voice for the past 2 days.
Have you? The
Yeah,
allergies?
allergies. I don't know if it's from the result of doing the baptism on Saturday, and then drying up quickly. Then you into the AC and
Oh,
so
yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
And of,
Yeah.
and of
You're just
course,
old.
yeah. Well, no, I don't believe in that word.
Say you don't believe in that word. But I
No, I
don't
don't
believe in
believe
that
in it.
word either.
That's that three-letter word I'm trying to avoid.
Ah,
Help yourself.
yeah, you let me know how you avoid it. That just let me know that. That's all I want to know.
I ain't figured it out yet, but I'm trying.
How many people did you baptize on Sunday?
10.
Okay. Wow.
You ain't got no more water, have you?
Huh?
You ain't got no more water.
Oh, we still got a whole lot of water. Yeah, a whole lot of water. Like they sing the song, Take Me to the Water,
Where did you do it? Where did you have your baptism?
at Apostle Vandross church.
Oh, how is he?
He is doing great, being busy, being one of our elected officials here in Monk's Corner.
Is he really?
Yes.
What is he elected to do?
He is one of the board members of one of our predominant organizations, which is where most of the people get their electricity, Berkeley Co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So he's on their board, and so he recently been in DC, and now I think they're in a meeting or gathering here in Mount Pleasant on this week. So
Oh my
yes,
God.
yeah,
Yeah. That's wonderful.
yes,
All
yes.
right. Well, let's see who's here. Let's see who's here today. See who's coming in the house. Yeah, well, that's you. This is Pastor Norman for those of you who may not know. This is Dee Dee. Hey, Dee Dee. Where's the rest of the peoples? Well, you and my sister. She's not there today. Well, they'll come on in here, I guess. I guess they'll come on in here one of these minutes. But anyhow, I got something I want to read, but they're not here to hear it. Whoa. Well, what did you preach on Sunday? We got a
I
little time to
preached.
go here.
I preached on the topic "A Promise Revived,"
Mm-hmm.
and my reference was 2 Kings chapter 4, beginning at verse 8, dealing with the Shunammite woman
Yeah.
who she perceived that Elisha was a man of God. And of course, her and her husband made a room for him that when he passed by to come and worship, he would have a place to reside. And of course, because of that, there was a law of reciprocity that was activated when he asked Gehazi, his servant, what can we do for her? She's been
Right.
taking
Right.
so good care of us and so forth. What can we do for her? And of course, he asked her to come to the room. Um, she said, really, there's nothing that they could do. And so she went back downstairs, and then again, Elisha was asking, there got to be something we could do for her. And Gehazi made the statement that, again, he noticed that she didn't have no child and her
Mm-hmm.
husband was old. So I was given some key points concerning many people. Again, there have been promised, some things came to them years ago, declarations and so forth. And I was letting them know that it would be revived because when Elisha called her back to the room, he told her by this time next year, you will embrace a son.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, of course, she said, man of God, don't lie to me. So it wasn't even faith required for the manifestation. It was because of the kingdom law of reciprocity. Whatever
Okay.
man soweth, that shall he also reap. And so she was blessed with a son, and uh, it jumps, and then they talk about him being a lad, and he was in the field with his father, and he said his head was hurting, which we could say he was probably having a heat stroke, but he died in his mama's lap. And instead of her panicking, she took the lad to the room where it was spoken unto her, which was Elisha's room, and laid the young lad on the bed of Elisha. And then she went and got a servant horse and went to find Elisha concerning this situation with her promise, not son, seemed to have died or ceased. And so, as she was being asked and approaching, the question was asked to her: "Is all is well with your husband? Is all is well with you? Is all is well with your son?" And she made the statement, "It is well," which we get, the
Mm.
song and so forth. But I was given key points once again on how so many people who have received a word from the Lord, because we know all the promises of the Lord in Him are yea and amen, to the glory of God by and through us, and that He's not a man that He shall lie, nor the Son of Man that He shall repent. I was encouraging them that many of them, they thought that the promise have ended in their life, it ceased to exist, nothing was happening. But I was sharing with them they're in a season where their promise is about to be revived, it's going to come alive again. And
Mm.
so
Mm.
I gave several key points that I don't have time to share.
Well, I know you don't, but I just wanted to get a glimpse of what you were doing down there and what you were telling your people, and that's good. It sounds really good, Pastor Norman. I've got a book here that Pastor has been reading, and well, kind of reading, and I picked it up yesterday to just to see what it was saying, basically, because I haven't read it. But it's called Kundalini Rising, and for those of you who are, say, in the Christian world, and you hear the word Kundalini, I don't want you to freak out, because if you've ever seen anybody get happy and shout, then you saw Kundalini. If you ever saw anybody shaking under the power of God, you see Kundalini. If you ever seen anybody speaking in tongues when they never spoke in tongues before, then you've seen Kundalini. You've seen Kundalini. You may not know what it was, but that's what the
And you
word
may
is.
not call it that.
And you may not call
Yeah, what you call it.
it. It doesn't matter
You
what you
did it.
call it. You've experienced it if
Mhm.
you've been in those settings. So I wanted to encourage you not to have any resistance to this when I read this. But this, I'm not going to read to you about that, but I wanted to let you know because the title is Kundalini. This book has done what I feel like a lot of us need. It has, while I'm no longer seeking for enlightenment, I feel that I've passed that I've passed that point where I know that that has happened. I've had that awakening experience, or I should say, the awakening has happened here. There is still there is still the desire to understand fully, the desire to uh, have questions answered, not so much about awakening and enlightenment, but about what is the norm, what is to be expected, um, and even how it manifests itself in the world. And so I read this morning, and it gave me some clarity. Hopefully, it'll do the same thing for you. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Sister Sharon. I see you guys. Sister Phyllis. I see you guys. So I want to read it, and it's not a really long thing, but I wanted to just touch base. Is that okay with you guys? Okay. Uh, so where do I want to start here? All right. He talks about here, and you'll hear the word again. And for those of you who never heard Kundalini, you will hear that again, which is nothing more than the power of the Holy Spirit, and you feeling it on your body, and it's coming up as an energy. Most of you who've ever been in the Christian church, if you've been in a church where they believe in the gifts of the Spirit or the receiving the Holy Spirit, you have experienced the Kundalini. So it's just a term. Don't get caught up on it. But he says here, he's talking about the honeymoon phase. And I want to talk about it from the standpoint of awakening and enlightenment for those of you who've had at least a glimpse of that, okay? It can last, the honeymoon time can last for days or weeks or possibly even years. But at some point, at least for most of us, it will take a different turn. The honeymoon is now over, and we must deal with some very urgent issues before we are ready to go forward to the next stage. What we have experienced thus far is a massive leap into another level of existence. That part was easy. Now the real work begins. Let me give baby girl her shoes. She's down here flapping her tail. So we must go back yet again, deal with all the remaining unfinished business in our lives, learn new ways of coping with the world and its stressors, and find new methods to maintain balance. This is our time of deep purification, of making ourselves ready to sustain these new energies and this new way of life in a more consistent way. And then, in the midst of our struggle, the blissful energies sometimes return, and all is in harmony once more. We know we are on the right course. We are in alignment with Source, and so we move ahead. Even now, though, we make discernible progress. We suffer setbacks and returns, shifts and oscillations as we continue our struggle on this uneven and unpredictable path. The rewards are many, but the cost may be extreme. Now, our responses may become more sensitive than ever, bringing alternately bliss and then pain, coming into the presence of a highly evolved spiritual teacher or group may evoke sensuous energies of delight. Sacred places, sacred objects, works of art, literature, or music may serve as triggers for stirring the sweet vibrations within you. Bowing before a representation of Buddha or Christ may send streams of delight into your head. A passing stranger may bring a sudden opening of the heart chakra. I've had that happen to me before, and it is powerful. There is a gentleman who lives in our neighborhood. He's no different than anybody else, but I was walking one morning and I passed him. He passed me. We simply said good morning and kept going. And when I got past him, I was flooded with such an emotion that I began to cry. I didn't know why I cried, why I felt the way I did, but something about him suddenly opened up my heart chakra. The possibilities seem endless. Each encounter brings a shift in tone and feeling. Likewise, unpleasant encounters with disturbing persons, witnessing unexpected conflicts in the street, even harsh noises, such as a car backfiring, may send flashes of pain through your system. As the process continues, our energies become even more delicate, even more refined. What once arrived as a great storm of thunder and lightning now comes quietly, resembling soft rain. I'm pulling my mic close to me. Soft rain falling on the trees in the forest. At first, we may have practiced strenuous exercises to send energy streaming, but now a bit of music, a gentle turning of the wrist or hand may be sufficient to stir this familiar bliss. Each initiate, and that's what we all are, undergoes a different experience, even a different sequence of events. Some may never experience the bliss despite years of devoted practice. Some may discover suffering rather than joy. What I'm describing is the pattern I am most familiar with, and which resembles in certain ways that some of others. There are indeed many paths up the mountain, and it selects its own course. Then it has some more stuff about the aftermath, and I don't know if we want to continue reading. I can. I think this is really helpful. It's been helpful for me, and it may be helpful for some of you guys. Let me know if it's helpful for you. I'll keep reading if you want me to. There's much, much more in here that I feel it would be beneficial to us. So you guys want me to keep
Go
going?
ahead. Go
Keep
ahead.
going. Okay. Kundalini, or I should say the power of the Holy Spirit, if that sits with you better, is at once the most personal and the most universal experience you can have. It strikes at the very heart of the self, touches and transforms it in every imaginable way, and leaves it in a state of unending change and adjustment. Although there are some common features, each person undergoes the initiation process in a unique way. The beginning circumstances, the unfolding, the mental and psychological responses are decidedly our own, unlike those of any other. Often the seeker's experience is framed in terms already familiar, such as, and there are going to be some spiritual terms you'll hear here: Taoist alchemy, tantric yoga, Native American spirituality, Buddhism, Sufism, Christianity. Whatever has captured the seeker's imagination in the past or is now thrust into consciousness may become the template for this overwhelming life event. And the discoveries, whether they are mental or emotional, that manifest during this critical juncture come as radically new insights, holy mysteries revealed for the first time. These revelations are precious, for they carry the initiate into the heart of the sacred, a world one has longed for but never before clearly discerned. The initiation is unique, a gift to be treasured and revered. At the same time, deep spiritual transformation is itself a universal human experience, one with a very long history across time and space. Whether it is the journey of the Christian mystic into divine union, or the Sufi seeker yearning for the beloved, the story of the soul's encounter with inner reality carries certain features common to a great many traditions. Kundalini operates as the basis for all such entries into transcendence, and it will emerge into consciousness for many on the path, whatever their orientation. For it is the vibration of the ultimate mystery that constantly calls us to awakening. Let me know if you're still with me. Type in yes, I'm getting it, or something. Let me know. And then he begins to list some things that we may experience. In addition to the traditional stages of the mystic path, that Underhill, and I've heard that name before, Underhill. He was a Christian mystic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the traditional stages of the mystic path that Underhill and others have discussed, there are also certain recurrent themes that seem to run through many personal accounts of spontaneous inner transformation. Here are some that come readily to mind. Thank you, Sissy. Thank you. Okay. He says here, you may experience, thank you, Phyllis, you may experience the sense of loneliness before the moment of awakening. We know that something is missing in our lives, but we don't know exactly what. We may have lived in essential isolation from the world with a sense that we are not of this time and not of this place. These are things that he says we feel either prior to or during, okay? The feeling that we are now a new being, whose transformed state is not perceived by the world, including our closest associates. We appear to be the old self, but are in fact a new self in disguise. Then there is the feeling that we have been granted a gift that we haven't earned. And we ask, how could this happen to me of all people? And then the difficulty of expressing the experience in words. How can we adequately articulate the indescribable? We're there.
Mhm.
Then questioning whether we are indeed undergoing authentic spiritual transformation, or are we just victims of some abnormal biological neural imbalance? Am I really awakened or am I deluded? Then there's deep hesitation over, over sharing this intimate and unfamiliar experience with others. How could anyone else possibly understand? Okay. Then there is further, such revelation might seem to diminish what is sacred, the sacred nature of the encounter, or even worse, appear as some form of boasting, an ego inflation. Then there is the sense that our own experience is part of a larger process of universal change or planetary initiation, whose ends and ultimate purpose no one knows. The goal of the mystic journey is for the religious permanent union with the higher being, total surrender of self, annihilation into God. I'm going to stop right there because I think I've read quite a bit for you, and that's worth discussing. What do you think?
Uh, First of all, I love you guys. Y'all are like a marker to me. Um, I would say about 15 minutes before uh, we actually went live, I had the thought, and I was going to uh, be an interviewer to you guys, just asking certain questions. Which you pretty much answered it all, because the thought came to mind was, if knowledge is power, and that's what we hear a lot in the world,
Yes.
knowledge is power. And I know in what aspect they're mentioning it, the more I know about a certain topic, the better I will be able to fulfill certain things that I desire in my life. And
Mhm.
so I was going to ask the question. That's why I said it's so funny you read that just now. I was going to ask you guys the question: what are the benefits of being enlightened? I was going. That's the question I was going to present to you guys. What are the actual, if we are enlightened, we become aware of certain things, we have clarity of thought, clarity of identity and existence, then being in this world, what would be the benefits of being enlightened?
Now, your question is a normal question that most people ask. But notice the last statement that I read, and I'm going to read it again. The goal of the mystical journey is for the religious permanent union with the higher being, which is God, total surrender of self, annihilation into God.
Mhm.
Saint Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross in the Western tradition are examples, as are the many holy men and women of the East who often abandon all involvement with the things of this world and retreat into caves or forests in order to maintain their state of connection with this reality. But
Mhm.
most of us do not commit our lives to such demanding paths.
Mhm.
Rather, we continue on our course of balancing and discovery, moving always to new levels of stability as we learn to live in the world and out of it at the same time.
And like I said, I wanted just to interview you guys because um again, here in this area, um, and y'all know the dominant uh, paradigm. I don't even want to say spirit. The dominant
Yeah.
paradigm is
Yeah.
a very religious paradigm.
Yes. Yes.
Um, that
It's the same here, but maybe not as intense, but it's the same here.
yeah. And so even like when you started off and you was explaining to everyone about um
Condominium.
condemnation, don't
Mm-hmm.
get over, don't feel like, oh my God, this is here, because of the different language or words that we use and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. And that would be something that I would be challenged with here.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I had to kind of spoon feed certain
I
people,
got you.
whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get them to that point. So now, with that in mind, the religious mindset is okay, I know this, I got this, but how do I utilize this when I got to survive or I got to live or I'm gonna just go, I gotta pay bills, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. In this world, what is the benefits of me knowing that? Now I
Okay.
pretty much
Yeah.
know it, but like I said, I want others because I have a lot of people asking me that, uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially after what has been happening um, within the past, I would say almost 2 months in our
Yes.
gathering.
Yes.
They're hearing scripture, like I said, when you asked me what I preach on Sunday, they're hearing the word in a whole different light, a
Good.
whole different way.
Good.
The way I'm sharing it, I'm being enlightened at the same time. I'm sharing it with them as
Yeah.
I'm getting the
Yeah.
download right then and
Yeah.
there. No
Yeah.
notes, no nothing. And they are like, oh my God. And so now they're kind of seeing how they were kind of like had their covers pulled over their head. They're
Yes.
finally
Yes.
seeing,
That's
opening
the
up,
first stage. Yes.
up, and
Yes.
they're like, "Wow,
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen this before." And so, in discovering here recently, we talked about the Catholic Bible that it has 76, no, excuse me, 72 books
Books.
in that Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been researching the oldest Bible that is
Yeah.
that's known as the Ethiopian Bible that actually has 88
Mm-hmm.
books in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I discovered through researching that when the bishops had came together, and this actually started before um, King James
Yes.
started with Constantine,
Yes.
and there was a Ethiopian, and I want to say mystic
Yes.
that was wondering why they want to discard certain books like the Book of Enoch, the
Mm-hmm.
Book of Jubilee, and
Mm-hmm.
others as well. There were more writings of Jeremiah and
Yeah.
also more writings of Ezra as well that they deleted out of
Yeah.
the compilation of the Bible. And the reasoning was, again, I saw it from reading that they wanted to institutionalize and make an organization to manipulate and control people. Because
Sure.
again, we know that when King James did what he did, it was because he became the king over three nations, and so
Yeah.
he wanted to bring them all under a one religion
Mm.
because he was protesting or pulling away from the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now I'm discovering there is a lot of manipulation that
Mm-hmm.
occurred in the book that we use as sacred now, which is the King James. And
Yeah.
so I found out that the Eastern Bibles and the Western sacred books are not even
Totally
alike
different.
at all.
Yes.
At
That's
all.
true. That's true. Unfortunately, that's true.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So the benefit, I won't say that enlightenment or awakening will help you get the car that you need. I don't think it will help you get the house you want. I don't think it will help you get the job and the salary that you need. However, if in the event that those things don't happen, the peace that you will have or I should say, the potential for peace resides within you with the enlightenment and the awakening. So you tend to process chaos differently.
Mm-hmm.
You process, you still see it, you still feel it, but it doesn't have its tentacles buried deep within you enough to cause your life to go haywire. Does that make sense?
Makes a whole lot of sense.
So that for me has been the benefit of awakening. I want to read just a little bit more if you don't mind. It said, first of all, most of us do not commit our lives to such demanding paths, such as going into a cave, going living out in the woods, and don't touch society ever again. But we continue our course of balancing and discovery, moving always to new levels of stability as we learn to live in the world, and as Jesus said, but not of it. We are like the hero. This is the part that I think is answering your question, Pastor Norman. We are like the hero who, at the end of his journey, does not turn away from the world, but seeks a way to bring the treasure back home. We know that at this critical time, the planet needs all the help it can get from whatever quarter. Some become healers, some share the wisdom they gain through speaking or writing or music or the visionary arts, becoming technicians of the sacred. Some accept humble occupations of service. In the East, this is called the way of the Bodhisattva, one who forgoes personal enlightenment to help others as they progress.
Exactly.
So now, the benefit for those of us who are awake or have what we call enlightenment is to now embody it and help society,
Mm-hmm.
help
Mm-hmm.
others to see this same thing. So that I felt that was very, very necessary to hear. And I don't know about you, but I found myself in that list multiple times,
And,
multiple times.
and I'm glad you read. That's why I said I love you guys because y'all like a market. Because to have all of those thoughts go through my head in that brief moment before we actually got on the broadcast, and like I said, I was going to ask y'all the question based off of y'all experience and what y'all went through because I want to help someone else out. Because one of the things that I am noticing, and you just read it with me as I continue to go through this journey, as you read, oftentimes there is a sense of loneliness,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and I have truly experienced that
yeah.
from the community
Mm-hmm,
that I was
mm-hmm.
part of. All right.
Yes, yes.
Number one, I don't think myself no more special than anyone else,
Mm-hmm,
but my desires have totally changed. I'm not looking to try to make a name for myself. I'm not looking to be a guest speaker at another conference. I'm not, you know, concerned about being one of the known revivalists in the area and so forth and so on. So I have been challenged by the community that I came up in and that I
mm-hmm,
was again one of what we consider one of the successful preachers in the area. I've been challenged by the community because I don't again I'm not no more special, but I'm on a different not a religious journey,
I
but more
understand. Yeah.
spiritual journey. Because
Mm-hmm,
you don't understand when you talk about religious journey, that's more communicative.
mm-hmm.
Whereas when you talk about spiritual journey, that's more of an individual going on
And
a journey
inner, yeah,
alone.
and
Exactly.
the inner work. Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that in meditation today. You know, all of these things that I once desired and was what I mean gung ho about going after, it don't
Mm-hmm,
even matter to me anymore
mm-hmm.
at
And
all.
we say that we said it sounds like we're making light of the temporal things that most of us desire, but we're not making light of that. Simply, there are things that I would like to have different in my personal life right now, in the physical life. However, that's no longer the nucleus of my I don't know what the word is. It's not the nucleus of my
Reasoning.
reasoning, going forward, moving, progressing. It is not. It's not at the top of the totem pole.
Exactly.
It's in the totem pole, but it's not at the top anymore. At
Like for
one
me.
time, those things, needing to have those things the way I wanted them to be, needing to stop certain things and to help some things be manifested, that was at the top.
Hmm.
And now it is no longer at the top.
Exactly. And like for me, like, and that's what I've been explaining to certain individuals that have called me about certain things after they heard what I shared and so forth. And like I explained to them, it doesn't mean that I don't want, like, say another house, or oh
Yeah,
yeah, I would love to have a whole lot of money.
sure.
Yeah, I would love to be a billionaire.
Really nice. Yeah.
Yes, but see, there was a time where all of my energy was in that direction. And if I
Yeah.
did not achieve a certain thing, then I would go into the state of frustration and depression.
Because then your mind would say, I'm not enough.
Exactly.
And
I'm
so
not being successful.
enlightenment and knowing who you are removes that thought from your psyche. I'm not enough. that
Exactly.
that is no longer the driving force, I should say, trying to make sure that you prove to yourself and everybody else that I am enough. So the drive to grasp and obtain is lessened. It
Hmm.
doesn't go away, but it's lessened because I'm not driven anymore by that particular thought.
So let me ask you this
Enlightenment.
question. Let me ask you this question when you just said that, because how did y'all deal with that? Did you feel as if, did you have the thought something must be wrong with me? Why I
Yeah,
don't have a drive to go after the money. I don't
yeah.
have the drive. I mean, what did you feel like? What was the challenge of that?
Yes, I did. I did have we did have that. In fact, we still to a degree have that because we saw so many physical uh miracles and were able to pull up the, I won't say strength, but the urge and the unction to make it happen. And once the awakening took place where I really woke up to who I am, it seemed like that dissipated.
Hmm.
And so now to bring healing and deliverance and those manifested miracles to people the way I once did, I'm still at a loss as to how that's supposed to be done.
Hmm.
Because I know now it was a lot of ego driven methodology. Now
Hmm.
the method doesn't work for this being. It worked for the old being. It doesn't work for this being.
Nope.
So now I'm still, and again, that's why I read that tonight. I'm still in that place of contemplation and inquiry. How do I still bring that to people and not be egotistical? And
Exactly.
not use the same methodologies, but is there a different method that I can use? And so
Exactly.
sometimes it's happened. I was introduced today to another law. We know you talked about the law of
Hmm.
reciprocity. There's the law of allowing. There's a law of attraction. There's also a law called the law of backwards.
Hmm.
The law of backwards is where you, and dad often said this, is you're going through a door that says push and you're pulling, or you're pulling and it says push. So the law of backwards is the less I put forth effort, the more it comes to me.
Hmm.
So that seems to be the predominant law in awakening and enlightenment.
Here it is. If God ever stopped blessing himself,
Mm.
Mm.
you would cease to exist.
That's good, Dad. That's good.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mm.
There's no difference between the sender and that which is sent.
Yes. Yes.
The thinker of the thoughts itself is a thought. My investigation into sages, the flame hot fire of the sages who are enlightened, the statement would come up with them: abandon yourself.
Yeah.
That asks the question, abandon yourself, is asking the question from itself, because there is no other self that can respond to the request than the abandon himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can talk about this, but there are millions of people on this planet that cannot do this, and they're trying to do it because that is trying to do it is still existing. And as
Mm-hmm.
long as that is trying to do it exists, it can never be done.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot wipe yourself out. There was a lady that was patterned after Catherine Kuhlman who wanted to kill the flesh. So what she tried to do was go out into the beach and dig a hole in the beach
Yeah.
sand,
Roxanne Brand.
Roxanne Brand,
Mm-hmm.
and jump in it and pull the dirt over. But she couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to break the drug habit. She couldn't do it. The word abandon is a word that is used and not used much in the real church circle.
In the Western church.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the richest kings on earth will not give up their gold cars and their palaces all over the earth because their identity is in that. And as long as the identity exists, there can be no real waking up. To wake up means you only see, you only know that there has never been a you, ever been a us at all. Now, these are words. These are words. And there's somebody out there now that's listening that won't identify themselves online with us tonight and have been over many months. Will not, because there's a thing in them that says we're not preaching the King James Version. Now, you mentioned something about the oldest Bibles and the Ethiopian Bible. I just run across ordering. I started to order that, and I
Mm-hmm.
said no, and I know now because
I started
you
to
were
do
going to
the
see it.
same thing.
I just sent back books on the Holy Mother and the light of God, of the fire of God that cast out all devils.
Mm-hmm.
We think it's done by. Here's what I say. Here's what was revealed to me. God did not intend for anybody to get free from darkness but himself, acting like he lost his eternal essence by coming here. And he really didn't come here, he's never left.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you tell somebody that's been born again, got saved, filled with the Holy Ghost, that there is no such thing as that after you wake up to your true identity, they will bind and loose and cast every pinto, bean, black eyed pea out of you and ask you, did you get whoopings when you were little? And the next thing they'll say, well, you didn't get enough. You ever heard somebody say, "Our boy, I will beat you to the white meat"?
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
now, most of the ones that I have investigated that found the truth of their identity lost everything. And they were, and look, as long as you put it on the devil, you're
It's
going
not.
to make one.
Now
Yep,
you
it's
know you
not
just
the
saying
devil.
I don't want to say I don't want this then.
Thank you.
So I mean,
I mean, This is what you're going to run to. You may not like me for it, what I said. You may not want to be bothered with what my teachings are. And you may not want to get back on the line with us anymore. Don't. But I will say this. I will say this. I want you to listen to this. There will come a day when you will leave your body. And I wish I could make you see it there. The blessings of near-death experiences reveal these things to a lot of people. You're not going to have a near-death experience and come back over here to tell it unless the Christ that you are comes back over here to share it. If the Christ that you are don't desire to come back over here and share it, you might as well kiss. You might as well try to bend your back and strengthen and lengthen your neck to kiss your own butt, because you ain't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
This is the lad. And listen to this. You ain't gonna get but one round at this body. Ain't gonna be but one round. Ain't gonna be but one breath. And when this is over,
Can I inject something?
I ain't gonna say no more.
Not to change anything that you said.
No.
But Jesus experienced the same emotions that we're experiencing now. There was a point in the Garden of Gethsemane when he was praying, and he said, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful."
All right, go ahead.
Unto death.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so he was in desperation. He was in fear of what was about to happen because he knew what was about to happen. He knew that this was the end of him. He knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, he came to a point in there where he told them, he says, "Do you think that I can't now pray to my Father, and he will give me more than 12 legions of angels?" So it was a turning point from the fear and the sorrow to a place where
it's a curve.
I am that,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do this, but I'm choosing not to.
Exactly.
So Jesus wrestled his ego down in the garden.
Which means he was able, because one of the benefits of enlightenment is to be able to transcend suffering. Yes. And so I love how you read that, because at one point he was that ego or that false identity. I'm scared. But he knew what he was in the earth to do.
So what died? See, this is the thing. Jesus died before he died.
Exactly.
Ego
died. Y'all the fly on the wall. Y'all the fly on the wall.
Thank you.
Ego died in the garden.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So when the ego died in the garden, he said, "Don't think I can call my dad right now. He'll send me all the angels I need to get out of this. But I'm choosing not to, because I know what's got to happen to be fulfilled." And then he said, he came to the point, "I am that." When he said "I am," they all fell backwards.
Exactly.
So there you go. There you go.
So
this is the goal that we're looking at.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
If you wake up to the fullness, see, the baptism and the fullness of the Spirit is not what we've been teaching in church. The real definition of that, of the baptism of the Spirit, is the fullness of awareness of your true identity. And to be born again is to be re-established in your true awareness of your eternal self, without any curricular activities from any paper, book, or ink. It is totally an abrasive, rough steel nail that drives itself into the, that's why Paul talking about it. We bear about in our bodies the marks of Jesus.
Exactly.
I wish some of us people that are listening would go to the backside of the cross and look at who's on the backside. You won't see Jesus back on the backside. You'll see your old rusty tail back there on the back side of the cross with nails in it. because there is no end. Let me put it to you like this. When you find out that you were never born and can never die and have always been eternal, I'm going to say it again. As long as you think there's some more to you every day, every night, and that there's something more to you that wakes up and go to sleep, you ain't dead yet. Now, when you came here, supposedly coming, you didn't.
Right.
You act like you came here, but that was your Christ self that acted like it had given up its eternal essence to find out that it was never lost and cannot be found.
So now, this is the thing. We cannot bring ourselves to ego death.
Thank you.
Exactly.
You check out every time.
But it has been customized.
Thank you.
Life has been customized.
Thank you.
To bring the ego to death.
Thank you.
Once we've had a glimpse, that is the impetus, that the catalyst that drives God begins to work even harder, if there's such a thing. God begins with intent to kill the ego.
Thank you.
I want to read something to add to what y'all said. I've discovered it says one paradox in the experience of, excuse my voice, y'all, I'm still having a challenge with my voice. One paradox in the experience of enlightenment is that if we seek and desire any of these benefits of enlightenment, it makes it impossible to experience enlightenment. Enlightenment is experienced when we give up all desires, all knowledge, all seeking, all avoidance, all beliefs, and all knowledge. To experience enlightenment, we must be willing to be nothing, to know nothing, and to want nothing. Total, absolute, and abject surrender and dissolution into the infinite sea of consciousness, the emptiness.
Yes. And the what's the word I'm looking for? The thorn that is pressed into the heart of the matter is the one who has to give up. That one has to be surrendered.
Hey,
the one who surrenders must.
I kept seeing Jesus going in the tomb, and the entrance of the tomb was revolving doors. He would go in, come out, go in, come out. I kept saying, why do you keep going in and coming out, going in, coming out? One time he went in and did nothing come out. Went in there, he kept going in, going out. I said, why do you keep going in these revolving doors? Like you go in a motel and them doors be just turning, going in and coming out.
You ever got stuck in one?
He got killed in there and did nothing come out. But what did come to the surface did not come out the same door that it went in.
Yes.
There was a door that Jesus come through that was never invented at all. It was never created. It was an invisible door.
Do you know what I just saw?
What you see?
Once you find this door, you cannot find a way out of it. Once you go through
There's
it.
Wow.
Once you find this out, there's no turning back.
Once you go into this door, if you go through it, you will not find an exit.
There is no turning back.
Just made me think about the Matrix.
Yeah.
Once he went through that door, there was no turning back.
Exactly.
The end of effort, divine journey leads you to this point.
She said,
effort driven brings you to this point.
I was blessed by the mom when you was reading all of that, because when I was meditating and thinking about all of that, I thought about individuals like Gandhi, Mother Teresa. I was so blessed by that, because I just was going through all of that earlier. How they had almost like a lonely walk.
They did.
Isolated. They was not desiring all these materialistic things and this wealth and stuff, but they made such a major impact.
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
From
It's
that,
no longer,
Yeah.
it's no longer we, us that live, but Christ.
And so when you think about, even a lot of people don't realize this, especially during Black History Month, they think Martin Luther King got all of his peace sermons and his sermons and his truth. They think he got it all from Christianity. He did
no,
not.
no, no,
He
no.
followed Sufism. He followed Gandhi.
Uh-huh.
Hmm?
So his the way he came to the kind of man that he was not through Christianity. It was not by trying to be the biggest and the baddest. It wasn't that.
Mm-mm.
In the
No.
council chamber, when I was there, say there, if there is one, I looked up in the seal. First, I was looking at Jesus at the end of the table in the council chamber. And I kept noticing my overhead depth perception and all around me. There was movement. It's like you being in the house and you notice something is going on in the ceiling. And so I decided to turn and look. When I looked up in the ceiling, I saw all of the artifacts that was collected by God from the Old Testament book and all that. Excuse me.
You didn't get a nap today.
No. But then all of a sudden I looked and I saw my name in the ceiling. I saw Clifton Sawyer's name in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus revealed in himself said, Sawyer's name is up here. My name is down there. I said, in disguise as Clark Kent. That's what I said. Fan my tail with a brick.
Mm-mm.
Oh, knock me down and call me Shorty.
We don't have to knock you down and call you Shorty.
Be still, girl. She need to be still. She want to mess with something now. Hey, I'm telling you, the dark day of the soul is what you're talking about, Pastor.
Oh my God. I just turned to this, the true dark night.
Just kidding. That's Batman, the true dark knight.
This is too much. Look, just this week we've been focusing on the Ethiopian Bible. Here you come with all of this.
Are y'all serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent 3 books
as well.
We've known about it, but this week it's kind of been in the forefront. So
I sent 3 books back to Amazon tonight, pertaining to what we're talking about, because I found no need to read it.
Yeah, contemplating. So all of this is kind of, anyway, the true dark night.
It's unfolding.
Wow.
Listen to this. Although the initial awakening may have been preceded by a time of grief and despair, Underhill asserts that the most trying dark night of the soul comes at a later stage, after the bliss, after the many convolutions and returns. There is suddenly a seeming withdrawal of divine favor.
That's a good place to pop.
Ain't it funny how you can pop on something that sounds like bad news?
Ooh, Jesus Christ, baby. Baby Jesus and all his cousins.
That's a sure sign that you're awake. That's a sure sign. Yeah. Bliss, which may have become a regular feature of your life, suddenly departs, and one is left to ponder what has gone wrong. For the Christian disciple, the feeling is often one of profound despair, as if God had simply turned his face away from an unworthy subject.
Let me give you something. Hold up, wait, baby. She took, Pastor Norman, y'all, she took baby girl, my puppy, our puppy, to Lowe's. Now, baby girl, we weren't expecting this. Baby girl,
and she's never been like this.
Never been like this. She goes into Lowe's and have a bowel movement all over that place.
Not all over.
Well, just well to be, because everybody's looking at you.
I'm glad it was in a secluded spot.
Ooh. And then one time she's coming out the door and did it again.
Yeah.
She's getting old.
Now, where is that dog's character? Where is your embarrassment?
So,
Where is your you got no respect, puppy?
so this last time, so she's on some medication that's helping that. But anyway, this
Well,
last time
you
when
can
I
make it.
took her
You can
to
you can.
Lowe's, I put a plastic bag in my pocket and a rag in the other
I'm gonna
pocket,
put a diaper on the butt.
just in case she decides this is what I'm gonna do. So,
And they don't have no kind of respect.
so now why did you bring that up?
Well, hold on, I'll tell you. Hold your
I'm
horses.
holding.
Hold your mules.
I'm holding.
Hey, look.
I'm holding.
They ain't got no kind of character, no kind of
They're
personality,
not embarrassed by
no
anything.
shame. They'll see another dog in a place and start having sex. They'll lick their what you call it any time with no regret. They will not have funerals of sorrow and pain, gloom and despair. They will have no repentance, no forgiveness. They ain't gonna ask you to forgive them either. They'll stand right there and do it. Now, my point is this:
Yeah.
The psalmist.
what is it in us? What is us this that reacts to all of that? They don't have it.
Right.
They did. They did. They did. Now,
They have no ego.
thank you.
John, now see, John
John
is
is a nut. John is a nut.
God mercy. I'm gonna get a good part for you. God is being and is blessing you, Pastor. Then he said, after going to the Lowe's, I feel the same way. Get out, John.
John
Get
is a
out.
nut.
Y'all stretch your hand this way to John Greasy. Stretch your hand to John Greasy.
Lord have mercy.
All right, let me read this. Our time is winding up. Listen. This, for the Christian disciple, the feeling is often one of profound despair, as if God had simply turned his face away from an unworthy
Yes,
subject.
Lord.
Now listen, we feel that somehow we didn't measure up,
You didn't.
or we failed the final test,
You didn't.
and now we're left to dwell in the perpetual awareness of acute loss.
You did.
Hush, boo. According to Underhill, this grief is greater than any experienced earlier because we have now tasted God
Ooh.
and know the splendor of divine acceptance.
Don't it taste bitter sometimes?
The Christian saint thrown into this abyss of despair
Abyss.
must make final surrender, acknowledge and repent, and weakness of all weakness, and allow themselves to be guided by divine authority into favor once more. The lesson is much the same for those on the spiritual path.
Hey, it's like killing the chicken. He instead of eating the chicken, eat the feathers.
Dad, you are.
Woo!
It is there for the ego, but when we have the grace to not be egotistical, it's at that moment we feel the freedom.
There go your
Exactly.
positive confession.
We feel
Exactly.
the freedom.
There go your positive confession.
Mhm.
There go all the education you learn in Bible college. Bible college.
Now,
Your biblical skibble.
listen. John said, "You can't get no help."
Lord, Lord have mercy. I'm gonna put two hands to John.
Hey,
Yes.
hey, Pastor. I used to be in rooms, them boys would say something to one of the boys, and them smart saying, you know what they tell him? Go out in the woods and poop and fall back in it.
Now, see,
Hey, now wait a minute. Hold on now. Don't say that. Now hold on. We come up with all these words, and some of them really sound. Hold on to your horses, and we think it's gross. I'm making it gross like that because when you in that feeling of what John say, you get no help. What do you do? Punch an alley. Who do you choose? Punch an alley in the shoe.
And it's then that your affirmations don't work.
Tell me about it. It ain't never been working. It gave you a big lie like it's working. It ain't never been working. When you hit the dark night of the soul.
Well, I'll tell you this much.
Tell me this much.
There are times when I will have the strength to make affirmations, but then most of the time I lose enough of the fuel and energy to keep it up.
hmm
Catherine Kuhlman used to talk about that all the time. The dry times.
but I'm gonna say something that just occurred to me because, like I
Uh-oh.
said, now I can only speak for what I am seeing and
That's right.
experiencing in this area. All
That's
right,
right.
but I have never seen so many, and I say this in love, which is an indication that they need to embrace their journey to enlightenment. But for those that declare to be Christian, I have
Mhm.
never seen so many miserable,
Yes.
frustrated, aggravated
Mhm.
Chris that's suffering.
Mhm.
I ain't talking about physically, I'm talking about emotionally to
Yeah.
the
Mental
point
Yeah.
to the point that they have turned on what we would say the church.
PTSD.
And then they want to blame the church. They want to blame people in the church.
That's right.
It was never none of that. Even
And
though we know that the suffering, all that is an illusion, but I have never, in all the years that we've been on this journey, I have never seen so many miserable, quote
yes.
unquote,
Yes.
Christians.
And it's good. It's a good thing. I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
Because they're being brought to the end
Thank you.
of
Good.
what they
Yes.
thought was going to be their rest of their lives. They're being brought to the end of all of their self effort, all of
hmm
their self righteousness. They're being brought to the end of all of that. And in actuality, God is instigating all of this misery
Hey.
so that they can come
Good.
to a place
Mm-hmm.
where they now let me back up just
Go
a
ahead.
minute because this I should have read at the beginning
Go
of the
ahead.
session because it answers the question you brought up at the beginning, Pastor Norman. It says here, to begin with, we have to remember that when there is the awakening into consciousness, we are more or less removed from this world into an inner Eden. We exist and feel in ways we have never experienced before, and we're like babies enjoying the total attention and devotion of our mothers who dote on us and give us constant love and support. Now that's a phase we go through where
hmm
everything's wonderful. Oh gosh, I'm awakened. Life is beautiful. Okay, and then suddenly our Edenic word, our world of Eden fades and we become aware of the pressures of the outside world.
Yes.
The mother force vanishes or diminishes radically, and we're on our own in a disturbed, sometimes uncaring, sometimes threatening world. We realize we have to do more than sit and sigh in rapture, that we have to earn a living, care for the urgent needs of friends and family who may be facing major challenges in their lives, and attend to our own health, which may appear to falter. Old psychological wounds may surface and demand attention, and old physical scars may ache once more. So there you have
Yes, 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 yes.
it.
You you just said a mouthful right there.
There
Yes, yes, yes.
so as John Greason said, you can't get no help.
Ain't
Oh,
getting
Because
yeah,
cause,
yeah.
cause you can't get no help because you are the help.
I was.
I'm gonna tell John Creasy like I say when I'm preaching, and I don't know why I even say, you don't hear me. You don't hear me.
Y'all don't hear me.
Hey,
No,
I was in Lowe's today. I was in Lowe's today, and wasn't nobody standing in the aisle but me. And I looked around. My belly was boiling like a
Oh, I knew you
volcano.
don't say it. You
It
no.
was
passed gas.
boiling. It was boiling.
You passed gas.
I let it go.
Did you run from it afterwards?
No, I didn't.
Because you
I
scared
took
somebody
it.
gonna run
I took it
into
like a man. And then all of a sudden, here come this lady. I said, "Uh-oh."
it.
I said, "Now she would come now." And she was real nice.
We've been having a
She walked through
we
it and come
we
back to it.
we've been having I don't know what it is this evening, but we just been having this crazy thing where we just laughing at everything. We were at the doctor's office And he was explaining to the doctor how that he has trouble remembering to take that cane everywhere he goes, and he leaves it sitting somewhere and
And then
can't
go back
find
and
it.
get it.
Have to go back. And she said, "Just put a strap on it and tie it to your wrist." And we looked at each other,
See.
and all of a sudden we just burst out laughing. We laughed so hard. She said, "I'm going to remove myself because I don't know what y'all laughing at."
And it happened so fast that both of us turned and looked at each other like that and
And
popped our eyes
so,
big as Popeye.
then after she left, we said, "What were we laughing about? We don't know."
And she just turned around and walked out and said, I don't know what y'all into or laughing about, but I'm out of here. She
That,
left.
we've been having a similar experience on our prayer line like
Uh-oh.
that, where there's been laughter on the prayer line. Just we're like, okay, why is everybody cracking up? You know,
Now look, John's talking about what happened on Sunday.
Uh-oh.
He said, "I like to say something about Sunday's podcast." It's a perfect example of what you're talking about. Everything started out real smooth, then all hell broke loose, and Tony, you finished it up. I did the best I could, boy. I couldn't get no help.
Especially when she talking about, and then
No
she
help.
turned around, talking about Balaam's ass. I said, you ain't never said that like that.
Don't bring that back up.
She don't talk like that.
Don't bring that back up. But
I said,
anyway,
well, my Lord.
I was abandoned on Sunday.
Oh, she was.
I was abandoned on Sunday. You couldn't help it. You had to do what you had to do. But look, it was crazy. It was just crazy.
Mhm.
So you're right, John. It was a perfect example of all of this. Good gracious alive. Everything that could happen was happening.
Well, now that you're tough enough to do like Superman, somebody shoot, you can catch the bullet in your teeth.
Oh boy. You have to have
I'm not going out to try that.
but you have to have teeth to do it.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Now she would say that.
Are you funny?
Yeah, she ain't funny. She ain't funny.
You have to have teeth.
I asked my daddy, he had all his teeth removed.
Yeah, Dad, you done rubbed off water.
I asked my daddy, he didn't have no teeth. I said,
Thank you, John. Thank
he
you
said,
so much.
I asked my daddy, he didn't have no teeth. I said, you can't bite none. He said, don't you bet on it. Put your finger in
he
there.
could gum you to death. Look, and look, John said that was a top 10 podcast. Thank you so much. I needed to hear that because I felt some kind of way when I got home. But it was all right. We had to go up and do what we had to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, life is a box of chocolates.
Oh, I hate
You never know what you're gonna get.
Forrest Gump.
You never know what you're gonna get.
You never know what you're gonna get.
So, guys, thank you for hanging in there until the end of this broadcast. We went 14 minutes over. Look at that, Pastor Norm.
How many over?
14 minutes.
Wonder how I got over.
Uh-oh.
How I got over. The storm. Mm-hmm.
Are you finished?
Mm-mm.
Are you not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Pastor Norman, thank you once again.
Anytime. I enjoy.
Conversation. Thank you, John, for saying hit the like the love button. Thank you guys for your time, spending your time with us today, and all your gifts and fruits and candy, nuts and candy. What?
Christmas, huh?
I can't talk like you talk.
No, you don't. No, you look funny doing that.
Well, I mean, you know,
She look funny doing it. She's serious. She don't get that. She don't get off in deep waters like that.
Oh, really?
No, not you. Mm-hmm. She never would get like that. When I was dating her, she would never get off into that. She couldn't say certain things around. Yeah, she look at you right cockeyed, you know.
Somebody gotta hold it down.
I had to be nice, you know. I couldn't cut up with her then like I do now.
Somebody had to hold it down.
I got you now. I can cut up any kind of way I want to.
Oh,
yeah.
I have to just grin and take it.
They take it like
take
it like a woman. You're tough. You can bite nails, 16 penny nails, and spit out barbed wire fences. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can bite a bullet and explode. It won't even hurt you.
I hear you, Superman.
Start. Listen, guys, we'll be back on Sunday at 10. Don't you start. Don't start. Pastor Norman's back on at 9.
Is he?
I saw something about Facebook. What you been doing new on Facebook? I saw some notifications where you've been doing something new.
I did something new on Facebook.
They had a notification that Norman Armstrong Ministries on Facebook has done something. I can't remember what it was, but they were promoting you.
I have no idea. That's the first I heard that.
I got it in an email today.
Huh?
Whatever it is, keep it up.
I sure will. I'm gonna have to go back and research that.
Yeah, keep it up. Don't stop now. Don't stop now. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Jill, for reminding us how to give to Pastor Norman. And of course, you guys can see that at the top of the screen, how to give to myself and my husband. Thank you so much for your gifts. Pastor Norman, thank you for that love gift that you sent earlier to us. So,
I don't know nothing about that.
No, it just happened just before we went live. Thank you so much, young man.
I don't see nothing about that on the line here.
He's our son in the gospel. Thank you very much. And tell your beautiful wife we say hello.
Sure will.
We're going to take off here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Have a great evening, everybody.